Right, that's back up and running. Back here for part 3 with the main man, Jamie Dobb. We've got my questions are left now. So my first one was, can you tell us about your Motocross Donations experiences and the whole atmosphere and all
that? Yeah, the first one for me was Geldorf in '89. I was 17. I was with David, just won the World Championship, Dave Thorpe, yeah. And Jeremy Watley was the other rider. So I was just so pumped to be there and everything. And I just remember being in the we were in these Jeeps, and there was 3 of us, and then there was Dennis Slaughter with the flag,
yeah, I remember,
who sadly passed away a few months ago. And literally, I think it was Dave that saved him, because this guy took off and Dennis shot out the back, and Dave just grabbed his legs.
Saved him for a full flip.
Yeah. So there was some funny memories. But like I said at the beginning, I'm quite an emotional person and everything, and it was like, a lot of people at races probably thought I was quite off, or self-centered, I don't know, whatever way you want to call it. But the problem was, especially at British GPs or Motocross Nations, because I'm so emotional, I couldn't really talk to anybody, because I'd just start crying, because I'd be just like this. And I remember that day we went round on these things, and you come down and just the mass and everything, and I'm just bawling before the race, and it's like trying to wipe your eyes because you're trying to be tough with you. They're like, what's this kid doing? But it's just like, and it's like, so that was a huge one for me, and something I really loved, and to top it all off, we ended up on the podium as well. So amazing. It was a good day. I was lucky. I represented the country 9 times, and I think we were on the podium 3 of them. And then and I had some really good races. I mean, 99, 97, when I came back from America, I won my class at the Nations at Nimes. Again, the British fans, I know everybody says it, but I think they're the best by a long, long way. And the atmosphere that they provide is just off the charts. And so Nimes was good. I was fortunate enough, like I say, to win there. The funny one was in Brazil in '99, because I still joke with Carmichael to this day. Me and Fro has a joke with him about the US Open, and I always have a joke that Ricky won a lot of races on a 125, but he never beat me. So, because I beat him in the qualifier, I got into the lead. He was second, and he passed me, and then he slid out in the next corner. So I got him back, and then literally there was about 3 laps left, and we went over the finish line, and I just beat him. But he don't really remember that, he says. And then he had just an unforgettable day, which was very rare in his books. But I was quite fortunate. I went 2-1 and won my class again. So I've had some great days at the Nations. It was just one of them things that I could raise the bar a little bit, but probably it was another great one, but it ended up pretty good. Was 2000. I decided for some reason I'll ride the 500. Well, it was a 580, I think, or something, and I'd never ridden one. And after Saturday, if somebody would have said, I'll ride for you tomorrow, I'd have happily let them go out, because I was pathetic. I just couldn't ride the bike. I went testing on it, but as soon as I got in a race situation, I just couldn't ride it. So we made some changes. Instead of running hard pack tires, we just put basically mud tires on, so it would break away and everything. And we didn't qualify because I was in 4th in the qualifier, and my bike broke with a lap to go. And then Carl Nunn also made a mistake and didn't finish. So we had to run the last chance. So we had a 30-minute last chance qualifier, then a 30-minute break, and then we were out for our first race for another 30-minute moto. And we were on the very outside gate, and I'm like, the pain as well was, I was bleeding the day before because of the rocks and everything at St. John.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way I can stick it at the back. So I just got out there. I was in third, and I passed Bartolini and Johansson straight away. And then I just went away from them, and it was like awesome till the last uphill. And as I jumped onto the start straight, and I think I had probably about a 7 or 8 second lead, because I was cruising the last lap. I had a bigger lead. Yeah. And I landed on the start straight and gassed it to go up the hill, and it locked up, seized up. I pulled the clutch in, and I'm bouncing it to get it up the hill, pushed it around the corner, went down the hill to the finish, and Rhino passed me probably 20 meters before the finish and give it the big one and everything. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Well, the worst thing was we'd already done 2 motos. I think mentally I was destroyed just from like, I was just dead. And like, I tried to ride the last one, but I didn't do not good. I know that. But yeah, so I don't know where we ended up there, but it wasn't the best. I think Paul Cooper did great that year, but I think I got second the first moto, but not great the second. And then Carl didn't have the best of races that year either. So it wasn't one to be. And then the last one I did was I flew out to America to do the Nations, and it was the one that got cancelled.
Oh yeah.
So they put on a make-do race at Glen Ellen, but it wasn't the actual Nations. Yeah. So
the major memories there, though. Them major memories of them years.
Yeah. I mean, still got all the caps on the side of me here and stuff in my thing. So yeah, no, it was some good times.
Brilliant. I've put, what English track did you most enjoy, and the one you least enjoyed in England as well?
The one I always loved was Brampton, Cumbria. I think it was just, it had everything.
British Championship track, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we had a British Championship schoolboy, and it was just one of them tracks that it was my kind of track, some big sand down hills, and I loved it. That was, I'd say, my favourite track. And my worst one, I'm sorry to say, and it is up there with the worst track on the planet, which is Fox Hills. I'm like, of all, like, it's like you may as well have took us back to Italy or France. We're supposed to get a bit of an advantage when it's your home Grand Prix track. It's the most dangerous track on the planet. You just landed and there was rocks rolling down the hill at the side of you. It was just like, the people who built the jumps, I don't think even knew how to build jumps. Because I came back and like I thought I could jump. And it was like, I don't know how you jump there. You'd be like going through the air like this. And it was just like, so I'm sorry to say the atmosphere was the best of any track on the planet. I will give it that. Yeah. I don't think you'll ever beat it. Yeah. But the actual track, for me was the worst one.
Because you obviously see my question saying it was my home track, and what do you remember?
That's why I did. I did say. That's why I apologise.
And so I'll go on to that one anyway, because the other part of it is, do you remember that well winning the GP? Was it 2000 or 2001?
2000. Yeah, 2000. I mean,
it was really wet, wasn't it? It was really bad.
Yeah. And I screwed up the first moto. I should have got the start because I was quickest in qualifying. Yeah. So I had that, and normally from that inside gate I should have been fine, and I didn't quite get it. Yeah. And I ended up getting roosted, and then I crashed trying to pass Mike Brown, and I crashed off the big step down before the finish. Oh yeah. And luckily I got away with it and got going, and I still finished second in the moto. Yeah. I'm not quite sure who won it in the end. I'm not quite sure who won it. I did watch a few weeks ago or a while back and saw it, but yeah. Then the second one, but we just made some changes, and I ended up going with a sand paddle tire
Did you?
because it was so muddy. And even though it was like rock just going up the hill, at least it would clear out and get good grip and traction. And the start being grass and muddy,
Mm.
because I says if I can get out front, no one's going to be able to pass anyway, you know. So we went with that, and I was quite fortunate. Fox had made me the coolest all white gear, and especially in that weather. So second moto, I get the start, and I was just gone. I think I had probably a 45-second minute lead, and by this time I got a friend who owns a local bike shop called Middleton's. His name's Dale. And he had a van on the far side, the opposite side of where the pits was.
Yeah.
But as you go into the very back, you cut back up and you go across the top before you drop down the big hill.
Yeah.
And he was camping there. And him and his mates, they had some, shall we say, different magazines that lads would have on a lads' weekend. And they kept hanging them through the fence on different pages every lap, showing these pages. So we're having a giggle about that. And everything was going perfect. And then all of a sudden, my mudguard started bouncing. The next minute, my mudguard snapped. So I had the last probably 15 minutes of constant mud shit in my eyes. And luckily, I ended up still winning. It wasn't by far, but literally I could not see till probably Wednesday after it properly, just because it was like, there's a picture in my book actually of my eyes, you'll just see they're just bright red, and in certain aspects I did get a bit lucky, because I don't know if you remember, a lot of people, they put some certain material like cement on the ground there to try and help the mud, and a lot of riders got burnt.
Yeah,
like Thomas Traversini really got burnt up his back with this stuff and everything. So I was quite fortunate that nothing really happened, because like I say, with my eyes and how it was. So yeah, but yeah,
that
awesome.
place is horrendous as well in the wet. It's the worst place to be.
I actually prefer it when it's in the wet, because it's actually, it's a technical track then, and it's not just like a road race.
Yeah.
But like I say, there is no better feeling than like off the start when you drop down that hill and turn left and you are leading, and they know it's an English guy, and it's just, it's off the charts. It's something you just can't, you get goosebumps thinking about it now, you know what I mean? And every lap when you come into there, you can't hear your bike or anything, and it's just, it's on that side, I will say it's funny
as well, because Malin said that he didn't enjoy riding there as well, because I was surprised. I thought you guys would like it, but
no.
I remember the takeoffs are all actually like vertical as well. But
they weren't straight.
Nah,
they weren't long enough as the bike. They were like kind of this shape. Sorry, I have good old motocross days. They just, you didn't go up a normal straight jump, and then the landings were about half the length of a bike, so you were just landing on the flat.
That was bad.
It was horrible. I'm sorry.
It's a bit better now, but
I'm not sure.
Brilliant. Killed me on that one.
Sorry.
That's all right. Why did you make the decision to come back to the UK from the USA? I'm sure it was with the Rob Hooper team on Suzuki.
Yeah. I had a few offers to stay in America, but during that year and everything that was going on, I always had this feeling, and I was missing the culture of the World Championships. Where you go to different countries every week, and it was always my dream to be a world champion.
Yeah.
And so there was that started pulling me, and then also probably the straw that broke the camel's back. I came back to do because I did the Nations that year, but Dave didn't believe I could be fast enough, so he made me fly back so he could actually see me ride.
Yeah.
So I did that, and when I came back to do this little test for him, I went out one night and met Naomi. So that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back, that I came back for her more than anything, and and it was just the right timing and of everything, so it just worked out perfectly in the end.
Did you enjoy it with the Rob Hooper Suzuki?
Yeah, Rob was fantastic. Rob and Cheryl, I mean, it's like you kind of feel for them sometimes because they get the bad end of the deal and stuff, but for bringing young kids through, they were great back in the day, you know what I mean? But again, it was like anything. He was his biggest thing. He was tied with finances and everything. Trying to run a team and survive and everything is difficult. Yeah. I got paid £12,500. I'd finished second in the Supercross championship and got paid £12,500, and I had to pay all my own expenses with that. And you know what I mean. So, but it is what it was. But he helped me, and he was just one of them things of helping me get to the goal I needed to get to. But yeah, I had some fantastic memories and times there.
That's cool. That's cool.
It's good.
I've put here, if there was one race team that you wish you rode for but you didn't, who would it be? Is there one?
It's not that I say I didn't, because I never really had the opportunity. I had one chance in America, but it was HRC Honda. Growing up in the 80s and everything, with Dave and Ricky Johnson and these guys being your heroes, and you just wanted to be a part of that. So I would have loved that. I mean, not to go off in a tangent, but when I won my first national in America at Unadilla, Dave Arnold came up to me that night and says, could we talk? So I went and had a meeting, and I was like, woo! I'm like, I only got a 1-year deal off Mitch anyway. And I'm like, and he says, and he's like, yeah, we're really interested with you with Honda and everything. But it was when they were starting the Honda of Troy team.
Oh, yeah.
He says, but we're not quite sure, but it could be on the Honda of Troy team and everything. I was like, it popped the bubble a little bit. I did end up going riding for them guys, but when you just think, and they just come. But then I told Mitch, and then he says, anybody can win one race, win two, and then we can talk.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Yeah, so it was good, but I stayed loyal to Mitch because he'd been great to me, and especially when I was injured, he didn't need to help the way he did, but he did. You know what I mean? It's like, so no, it was good times.
Yeah, I love that setup as well when you was number 100, and that was really cool as well.
Yeah, I've got the old helmet here. I don't know if you can see it. But...
Yeah, show it. Oh my god. Yes, love that with the Hot Wheels on the side and everything.
Yeah.
That is proper, that is.
Goggles aren't from that time though, so.
That is amazing.
I was part of the crew filming Star Wars, the last one, so they were my goggles out in the desert in Jordan that we wore, so the directors have signed them for me, so it's just in the box with all the memorabilia. It's pretty cool.
Cool. I bet some people would be after that, Jamie. I don't think you could put a number on that. Right, I've put, what happened the season you obviously won the world title? I remember you had the shoulder injuries. I'm sure it was 2 broken collarbones. I don't know if it was the same one or both different ones, but I remember it was twice. I'm sure it was. Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, both.
What actually happened?
2001 was one of them years that it was just, it started off so great. I got married in 2000. It's something I always wanted to do. And then at the end of that year, just to do a bit of a recap, it was like, you know, I got close to Langston and things, but at the end of the day, the best guy won it. He was just that bit better than I did, and, you know, hats off to him. Yeah. I did have some unfortunate things, but what will be, you know, you make your own luck, you know. But at the end of the year, Naomi says to me, he says, "You're not the same rider you were when I first met you, when I first came back from America in '96. And as any egotistical man would be, yeah, I am, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you don't know what you're on about. So she goes off doing something, and I go back into where I used to have my gym and a TV and got the old videos out, and I'm like, oh shit, she's right. And that's when I changed my plan, and it's a philosophy that I used that following year, and I still used with Tommy and all the guys that I help and try and give a little direction to now with Conrad or whoever it may be in the past. Yeah. So that happened, and so I started this new thing, and I've always wanted a kid, and it was like, you know, Naomi was under pressure. She'd just become a physio and passed university. So her father was wanting her to like focus on her career and everything, and I wanted that. So for a birthday present, we had a one shot wonder and had a chance. If you got it, I got it. If I didn't, I didn't. And so, and then we found out we were pregnant, and it was just, I don't know, it was just something within me, and just, I don't know if it's the comfort of just everything, you know, being married. I knew a child was coming and everything. I don't know, you know, it affects some people, but in me, it was just a positive thing, and it gave me this inner drive that I can't really tell you. I mean, to skip forward, then we go to Sweden, and I'm gaining a big lead. I mean, my worst position's been second, and I've won every other race. Yeah. And I was fastest in qualifying, went for the qualifying race, and some Italian kid just went in kamikaze from the outside, hit this bank, bounced back over, wiped Eggins out, who was one of my biggest competitions, and then that wiped me out, and I broke my left collarbone. So that was that. I flew home. Paul Edmondson, as I say, my buddy, he'd come out with me that weekend, and Craig Elwell, who's a good friend of mine, he called a surgeon he knew down around London, and I went down there, and I had it operated on Monday night, and I came round from the operation, and this is just another thing of like with team managers and stuff and how good Kurt Nickel was. I woke up from the anaesthetic, and Kurt sat there. He'd flown over from Austria. He saw me for 5 minutes, and the surgeon, yeah, he'll be okay and everything. Says, good lad, see you soon. Jumped back on a plane and shot back to Austria. And it was just that man management and things like that. But literally, I had that weekend off, and then I raced in France the following week and got second in the Grand Prix. So I was like thinking, you know what? And I didn't think for 1 second that it was over. I'm like, this is still okay. We're still good. Then I go to France, get second. The following Wednesday, I go training, and I got my little practice track that I used to go to called, like I say, the Sand Bowl. Went into a corner, and the little plastic gadget on the clutch had snapped. I didn't know and didn't go in. I went for the clutch, and it wasn't there to change direction. I ended up going down, and I smashed this shoulder. So go to hospital, have it x-rayed. They're like, yeah, no, everything's fine. So I'm like, okay then. So I went back home, and I was just taking it easy because it was sore, but I'll be like, I'll be okay. Then Monday, the hospital called. He says, oh, the specialist who looks at the x-rays has looked at your x-ray, and I'm sorry to say it is broken. So this is when Grand Prix were Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So I jumped in my car on Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday, I drove straight down to the guy who did the other one and say, can you operate on this one? Because I knew I was doing push-ups the day after I'd had it done. Literally, I had it done on the Monday and I'm doing push-ups Tuesday. So I knew I'd be okay to ride. So I went down there and he says, there's nothing we can do. It was right at the end, just next to the ligament. So there was nothing where he could bolt anything to, but it was broke straight through there. So I went out to Namur thinking, am I going to be able to ride here? And I went out, and like you say, it goes back to like that power I had with knowing Gracie was coming. And we'd seen her, I think, a week or so before for the first time, you know, on the scans and everything. Yeah. And I used to, as you may know, I used to listen to music before the start and everything, and I used to get in my own little world. Yeah. And it was just, what the crazy thing is I had zero pain, nothing, and it was broke, but no pain. And it's just, you hear people talk about how strong the human mind is, but we don't use much of it. Yeah. And then like that thing of strong in body and strong in mind, and you know, I don't know why or how, but it was, I literally, and like the heat race, it was a bit sore, but it was more the anesthetic that was still wearing off. But then we woke up Sunday morning and it had been raining, and then I probably had one of my best Grand Prix I'd ever had. You know, I think I was about 12th off the start. My goggles, my roll-off snapped on the first lap. So I had no goggles from the first lap. And I ended up winning the race by like 10 or 15 seconds. And it was just like, you know, with basically two broken collarbones in a way. And it was just so, you know, they said it was like a lot of rugby players get the same kind of thing. But like I say, to think now, like I've tweaked my back and it's like, I'm like an old man walking around a place and everything. And it's like, but then to think that, but again, don't think I'm still here saying check me out and I'm like that. There was no pain, so it was incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing story.
Yeah. So so that's what, and then it took me on, and then could win the championship. So it was good.
Amazing. That was some feat. I've put, who do you most enjoy watching race now and why?
TV, I love Supercross. I love watching that. When I do watch the Grand Prix, but I don't enjoy them as much as when I'm there. I think Grand Prix are much more enjoyable there. You know, I love watching lots of riders now. I mean, how the guys can ride bikes, it's like, it's insane. You know, it's that old story of like, oh, do you think you could beat these? And it's like, well, we won't stand a chance. But everybody develops. You know, Johnny O'Mara was unbelievably fast at Majora, but he wouldn't have beat me. He'd have been a long way behind me when I was on a 125, you know what I mean? And I think everybody learns from people. You know, it's like James Stewart learned from Jeremy McGrath and Jeff Ward and these guys, and then and it just develops. So, yeah, I mean, I forgot where we were going on about them, but yeah, I think, you know, where were we at on that?
Who do you enjoy most watching?
So the riders of today, you know, like you just watch things on Instagram and what they're doing on bikes and everything is just, it's just insane, you know what I mean? And it's just, you watch like the battles that Jeffrey has, you know, with Tim Geiser and Tony, and then, you know, you look at the smoothness of Jorge Prado and everybody like that. you know, there's so many. And then in America, I just love the intense battles, and it's just like with what Supercross brings and everything. And it's like, so at the end of the day, I'm still a huge fan, and I love watching that. But like I say, watching kids, like I say, you know, whoever it can be practicing, and it's breathtaking what they can actually do on motorcycles nowadays. It's fantastic.
Right, I've got my last one here I had was what have you been doing career-wise since you finished racing? You sort of touched on it a little bit. But...
Yeah, I mean, obviously, before I'd actually finished racing in 2000, I'd already started like a management company, mainly with football players and a sports marketing business. So I went into that kind of side of things, and then worked quite closely with Tommy Searle and was part of his program for a number of years. And then we've had a number of riders, Max Anstey, the Watsons, Conrad. We've got Billy Bolt at the moment in off-road. And then in between that, I went to work directly with Monster Energy to build their sports marketing program outside of the US. So everything from every sport, from Formula One, which was I signed Jenson Button the year he won the world title, and then I got Valentino Rossi and these guys. And so yeah, I was part of that program for a number of years. And then the last few years, like I say, Lee Morrison, I was telling you, was still great friends with. He's like one of the top coordinators out there, and I've been working in the movie world with him for the last few years, and Rob Erin's with us a lot of the time as well, so that's pretty cool, reminiscing with Rob and everybody. And then Paul Edmondson, Paul's been doubling for Daniel Craig. All the bike stuff was done by him on the latest one that's going to hopefully come out later this year. So yeah, I've been super fortunate, between Lee and Gary, they've given us such a fantastic opportunity. And sometimes you wish you'd have gone in there a few years earlier, kind of thing. But it's been good. It's something completely different, but it's something that I've been enjoying. And another thing that I've been doing also over the last number of years now, I started with the Road to Recovery charity probably virtually soon as I finished racing.
Yeah.
Because it was one of the things that did that risk and reward, where that light switch went on. Yeah. I didn't want to be, it scared me being in a wheelchair and everything. So to this day, I try and raise what I can. We've got a board now in the UK, and we have actually just got the charity number through, because obviously it was an American from the American side, but we've got an official charity number in the UK now. So hopefully in the near future, when this COVID-19 thing mellows out, we can start building and hopefully be in a better place to help and support athletes that do get injured and do get life-changing injuries. We've got some great ambassadors on board. We've got Mike Brown, who used to be a motocross guy. He lost his leg in an accident, and great story for Mike, because Mike had never picked up a golf club in his life till 4 years ago or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And now he's on the PGA Tour. He's won numerous events, and so he'd have never done that, and he's got a God-given talent for playing golf. I mean, nobody's made the tour in the space of time that he has. So
wow, as well.
Yeah, so
he's a good guy. He raced at schoolboys where we were as well.
Yeah. So
really cool.
Mike's an awesome dude, and he's a great ambassador for us and everything. And I just really want to grow that. We go to the Grand Prix every year, and we're just trying to get the help and support, and because we're there, 100% of the profits go back to the riders and athletes, and we just want to be in a better position that riders are in a safer place, and there is things in place for them if things do happen. So, we've got goals and aspirations for that, but hopefully one day we'll get there with them. And but yeah, that's in a nutshell what I've been doing with myself since I've finished racing.
Wow, it's been awesome speaking to you, mate.
No problem. Thanks for the time. Thanks for having us on here.
Privilege, mate. Absolute privilege to speak to a legend like you. Real cool. I really appreciate it.
No worries, and thanks for everyone's time. And hopefully there's some things that the audience haven't seen, and hopefully I'll see you all at the races one day soon, and hopefully we can stay safe. And this, like I say, COVID-19 will be behind us shortly, and then we can get back to normal. But just try and maximize the time you have, while we've got it, because the positives with it, I don't think we'll get these times with the kids again. My kids are 18, 14 and 10 now, so you may not get these times with them again. So
sure.
I've been trying to enjoy it as much as I possibly can. And, but hopefully I will see you all at the races very shortly.
Appreciate it. Thanks ever so much, Jamie, and take care.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
All the best.